What's going on today, everybody? So today I've got a little bit of a project going on, a little bit of an irritating project going on. I'm working on these taillights and trying to get the LEDs onto a PCB board so I can install them into the taillights further down the road. Trying to make the PCB board, and it's fighting me every single step of the way. Made it. It works perfectly fine when I set it up on the breadboard on the shelf, and then as soon as I go to solder everything together, it's giving me problems. So it works completely fine. I know it does. I just got to chase down the little gremlins that it has and work from there. So I've got it working currently, but I have to steal part of the PCB board to work through my I have to steal part of the breadboard to work on my PCB board. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here we go. Here's the setup. This will be on the outer tail light. This one will be on the inner tail light. So I'm currently using this 555 timer. It's supposed to go right here. It just clicks right in like those ones. But when I put it in there, it gives me problems. So I've got it tapped over through this wire. That's giving me my signal off of the PCB board, and it's working just fine. So if I plug it in, so this is just my signal wire. This is what's the pulses being sent out over through this 555 timer, through this system, and going through the system. And I can use this chaser wire to touch any of these LEDs. It's like I'm gonna touch this one, and you can see that it's going through the circuit. At that pin, I'm getting voltage coming out, and I can put them on any of the other ones, and it shows me that I've got power going through them. So it works completely fine when I've got the timer on the breadboard, but as soon as I put it onto here, the light just freezes. It doesn't go anywhere. So I've got to figure out something's going on with this that's not quite right. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So that should have gave me the same result as having this light blinking. When I put this onto number 3 pin of the 555 timer, when it's on the board and I turn power on, it's not blinking, and it should be. So that's the problem I'm running into. It's getting power to it, but it's just pausing. It's not advancing the timer. So something in here is causing it to not want to run through the system. So I'm going to double check everything. I have a problem with that, so I'm going to isolate my problem to that. Everything else seems to be working fine. It's just something's bridging between that 555 timer. Well, it took me a little bit, but I finally figured out what the problem was. I managed to not connect one of the pins to ground, it happened to be. So it wasn't ever connecting, and it wasn't ever resetting the cycle. So pin 2 wasn't actually connected to the capacitor, which is connected to ground. So it effectively wasn't working. It would do 1 and stop and be done. But now I finally got it working, and I'm trying to dial in what capacitor to use to figure out because the blinker blinks at a certain speed. So I've got to match that speed and go through the whole array and start whenever that goes through, I guess. We'll have to see about that, because it'll have to start. Your turn signal sends out pulses. So it's going to have to, well, pulses of power. So it's going to have to start and end the sequence before it runs out of power. That might be a problem. I might have to get a new bigger resistor for the rear to fix hyperblink. I know I have to get resistors to fix hyperblink, and I know they make a relay for the hyperblink in the Subarus, so I might get those and see what that's like. But for now, I'm happy. I've got at least one working. I can start plugging away at the second set and get ready for LEDs. Really excited. The only thing I then have to deal with is dialing the capacitance to the right one. There we go. Both boards are working. I've got this white wire going over to show that this one's working, and the green wire going over to show that this one's working. Now they'll go in sequence, so this one goes first, and then this one will go second. So it goes that one and then that one. But I'll have to dial in, because they're not just this one fires first and goes down the row. It's actually like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's all messed up. So actually right here is the firing order. So it goes 3, 2, 4, 7, 10, 1, 5, 6, 9, 11. So it goes through all these pins, and that's what the firing order to turn on the LEDs are for. So I went through and figured out using slow motion and a timer to figure out what the tail lights are actually, how long they're on for. This one's tricky because it's incandescent, so technically it's on. This is turns first sign of turning on, last sign of turning off. But the peak is at 2.83, which is 32.32 seconds, 32 milliseconds from when it starts. That's not a very long time. I had a 3.3 microfarad capacitor, and it was giving me a 1.29 seconds. Stepped it down to a 2.2, and that gave me 0.88 seconds. And then I stepped it down to a 1, it gave me 0.22 seconds. So there's gonna be some finagling with this, but I think we can get it. Well, after I got everything working again, I went from broken to fixed, and we're broken again. I don't know what I did to it, but it's not wanting to cooperate at all. It'll start, go a couple times, randomly stop, start, randomly stop. Not a clue what's going on with it. So I'm going to start working on the other one for the other side, and maybe I can get one out of the two. Always buy extra parts, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be able to make another one. I was able to make 4 out of the parts that I ordered, because I wanted to be able to maybe change up the design later on. So anyways, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take it easy. Peace.